All right, welcome to Fifefer Island, the podcast. I'm your host, Chris Madden, and today we have a very special guest with us, my good friend, Stephen Vosberg, who we actually grew up in the same state, Minnesota, in towns 30 minutes apart, but never met until 2015 in South Korea, where we both were stationed as English teachers, where we both had English
Yep.
teaching jobs. And we just kind of clicked right away, being from the same state and same vibes. What, you're like a couple years younger than me, but I look younger,
hmm
right? No, I'm just, just joking. Um, so I've wanted to start this podcast for a while, and thank you for being the first guest. It's a podcast about game dev, but also just catching up with friends and keeping it cool. So, Stephen, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for that great introduction. It's wonderful to be here.
So another thing I should add is that we both we started teaching in South Korea, and then in 2018, I think you went to China, and
Yeah.
you really got me and my wife thinking about, hey, maybe we should go to China too. So you were in Shenzhen, and then we got a job. I got a job in Xi'an, and so we both were in China in 2019 at the same time. And when the pandemic hit, uh, I only had like a couple months left in my contract, and so my wife and I were like, we should get out of China. So we left China, but Stephen, you stayed behind, and you dealt with you've been in the through the pandemic in China for the last year and a half, while we were uncertain but ended up in America for the last year and a half. How have things been?
Things have been great. A lot of people left during the pandemic, English teachers and whatnot in China. I was lucky at a job that continued to pay me throughout the whole pandemic. And so I was just chilling doing some online work with my school. And then the pandemic really was getting worse over the summer when I had to renew my contract. And so it didn't make sense to go back home. So I've just stayed here. And since the borders have been closed since it's coming up on a year and a half now, I think,
Wow.
that pretty much no one's been allowed into China,
You need like well, the visa
especially
process is
foreigners.
super. Yeah, the visa process was super difficult before the pandemic, and now it's like just even more difficult. You need like an emergency to get into China as a tourist or something, right? Is it, if it's even possible?
It's very, very difficult. Pretty much you
Hmm.
have to either be in a big business where they can get the visas, or a few select schools, some of
Uh-huh.
the bigger schools can do it. But for the most part, no one's really been coming in. It's too costly because you have to first get a flight, which is about 2,000 US, and then you have to pay for a quarantine, which is another 2,000. And so it's just such a costly, prohibited thing that it's been really great for my career. I'm going to be moving on to a new school next year, international school in Shenzhen. So I'm
Yeah,
moving
that's
back there.
great.
So it's been really great.
That's awesome. Yeah. He took the route that I'm kind of taking now, where I'm online getting my teaching certificate, but then you need years in an international school to really get the credentials to move up the international school circuit. So you've got 2 years now as a homeroom teacher in an international school. It's a great thing for your career. So congrats on that.
Yep.
Here in Minnesota, I know you haven't been back, and you've wanted to come back to vacation. So I'll fill you in on how things are here. It's really I call it post-pandemic Minnesota, because 70% of the state, I believe, is vaccinated. In the Twin Cities, it's even higher than that. So, once we got vaccinated, you just don't worry about the virus anymore, and your mindset starts kind of going back to the way it was. And so, like, everyone, we're going to the stores, no masks. Um, and yeah, luckily Hansel and I both have been vaccinated and can kind of move on, and the city's moving on, and you can just tell that the economy's pent up, and there's a lot of help wanted signs, and things are kind of booming, but it's a lot of stuff's going on. That's for sure. How does China feel right now?
Uh, it feels very safe, except anything. There's an outbreak in Guangdong recently, and they shut down most of Guangdong. They weren't letting anyone travel pretty much inside or outside of Guangdong. Uh, but for the most part, it's handled. They're slowly getting around to vaccinating people, but I haven't had a chance yet.
Mm.
And it's just so serious here. Everywhere you go, still masks, temperature
Really,
checks. You have to show
everywhere.
your health code. Uh, so pretty much all the time, you're just pulling out your phone, showing a health code that tracks everywhere you've been,
Huh.
getting your temperature checked. It's still very intense here. They just don't have very many people vaccinated yet, so
Yeah, so
until that happens.
mm, the Delta variant could take hold. Yeah, South Korea is really clamping down too. Yeah, a lot of places it's not a good situation right now as regards to COVID goes. Um, well, I'm glad you're well, and why don't we move on now to game devs? So,
Okay.
Fifefer Island, you were one of the lucky. I think you were like the first person to play test our game back in February or January when we had it. And maybe I should take a time to explain Fifefer Island. So this is a project that's been in my dad's head for probably 10 years. And the original Fifefer Island came from me, actually, as it was an imaginary island I created in the fourth grade when I was about 10 years old. And I was Fifefer. It's like Christopher Fifefer. And I, was the king of this island and had monsters that I drew that had special powers and stuff. And I kept it all in a folder. Um, and so that was kind of like, my imaginary life as a young kid. And, it's something I kind of kept with me. I had the folder. I still have the documents. I use it a lot in teaching, kind of like asking students to think of an imaginary island. How would you run it? What would you do differently? And then it was also my gamer tag, playing video games like Halo and stuff, fifth of her. So, going on to my dad now. My dad's an economist. He worked at the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis for 15 years. He also taught economics at the University of Minnesota, Econ 101 classes. So, and he's an avid gamer. Like I remember growing up and my dad playing like Civilization 3 and Age of Empires, and he's into board games, and he's very he loves video games maybe more than I do. Um, and he's had this goal to create a video game that can teach microeconomics in a fun way. So that's been his goal. 5 years ago, when he was doing his PhD, he actually programmed a game on RPG Maker, and he did it all himself. But it was really, really rudimentary. It didn't look great, and you know, it wasn't a complete game. The pandemic happens. Hansel, my wife, and I come back home. We're underemployed, and my dad pitches us to why don't we pick up this project again, put some money behind it, and create a good game. So we've been working on this since December 2020, and you saw one of our first iterations. This time around, so the goal is to have 7 episodes of Fifefer Island that cover an entire microeconomic textbook. And so this first episode is just the start of the ship here. And we're really happy to have released the beta version yesterday. And it's just come a long way. And maybe we can talk about that now. What do you remember about Fifefer Island when you played through it?
I remember it being very much heavily a quest type game. And so you're doing activities that help you understand the economics through gameplay, as well as it had many quiz type quests to help you learn about the economics. And by doing that, you got resources. And as you got resources, it helped you be able to do more things.
Yep. And a lot of and I think when you played, the like what is the game? It was still uncertain. We were like, my dad's kind of hope was that this is going to be kind of the end all game, and like people are going to discover it and then kind of be tricked into learning about economics without knowing about it. And I kind of was like, I don't know if that's going to work because we're using all these economic terminology that's foreign to a lot of people, and we're having quizzes. It's going to feel like school a bit. And we should just embrace that this is a game that teaches economics in a fun way, and that the story and the exploration and the things you can do in the game make it fun and worthwhile to want to continue on to learn these economic achievements. Check off the list. And that, in this current episode 1, there are 40 economic terms that you learn. So you can see my screen, Steve?
Yep.
So we have, so since you played the game, maybe we've had 2 illustrators that have come on full time. So now every asset in this game is custom drawn, custom illustrated. So for RPG Maker, for RPG Maker MZ is the game engine we're using. And this is like kind of unseen in the engine that a team has come along and custom illustrated everything. I mean, people do it. And a lot of times people keep the pixel art style. But with us, it's a drawn style. It's drawn in Toon Boom, I think. I forget what our illustrators use. But so now, and I don't know if you can hear, we have voiceovers. So it's just kind of like everything's picked up. We just kept on adding things, and I'll show you some of the improvements. So this is the first. We have, the overall map. There's 4 chapters in episode 1. That's my mom on the voice. So we have a lot of family contributions. And Tarina, the characters in Fifefer Island, they're going to be from all over the world. The main character in episode 1 is from the Amazon, and she's dealing with illegal loggers that are destroying her home. So Mother Planet takes her. Mother Planet takes her from the Amazon and brings her to Fifefer Island, where she will learn how to save her village. And so you can see here, Steve, that like everything's been drawn. When you played, was Tarina looked like this, or was she smaller?
I think she was still in the more pixel art style.
Yeah, like before, now she's 2 tiles tall. And you can see first off, this was a recent improvement. Like 2 weeks ago, we had some random guy play our game. Like he pinged me on Discord and was like, I'm playing your game. And he's like a RPG streamer. And it was so exciting for us because it was the first time we had somebody that we didn't know play through our game. And he gave us a lot of, he loved the game for what it does with the RPG Maker engine. And he was funny because like, once it gets into the quizzing, he was like, oh, I'm back in school, but I love it. And so since then we've improved it even more. So we have this HUD system that you can completely, show the entire screen here. So then you can pop it out when you want. We have the different metrics, the health, the mental energy, utility, which is your happiness, experience points to gain experience. There's a night and day system. And then over here, you can see our tech. So this is our tech tree, and these are all the techs, we call them, the economic concepts that the player is going to learn in the game. So let's see how that works. So so this is a tech stone. You'll click on it, and yep, they help you succeed on the island. Oh, whose voice is that? I don't know. Can you hear the voice?
I can't hear the voice.
Oh, you can't hear the voice. Okay. All right. So you're gonna learn the tech. We have these tech images now to help give a more visual explanation of the concept. So when you learn the concept, you can either you take a quiz, but you can battle the mind master. So this is a cool improvement we did too. So we've got a battle back, get the Mind Master here, Mind Master emerge, and the Mind Master quizzes you. So you get a quiz. Which of the following would be considered a need? Earrings, puppy, food, necklace. Steve, this is the easiest one. Food. Food is a need. Puppies are not a need. So you just answer questions correctly to unlock the tech and expand your tech tree and get skills and experience along the way. So you just got the ability to find mushrooms now. So it's exploration, a lot of different characters, and you got to make your way through the island. And I'm really happy that we have the voiceovers now because it helps with the reading. Before it was a lot of text. You have to read, you have to pay attention, but the voiceovers really help you follow along. Then also for ESL students, I'm thinking like it's gonna be great. It could be a great thing for a high school or university student that's learning about economics to do it in English and also improve their English skills and have fun with that. So there's lots of exploration, caves, lava rivers, and 4 different maps. So every asset in here has been custom drawn by our illustrators. Really happy with it. And now it's about time to get this game out the door. We have the beta version out. So now we're just looking for play testers, people that can check the game for bugs. We need to clear up all the bugs over the next 2 weeks. And then on Steam, it takes 2 weeks for them to review the game and make sure that it runs well before it can be released. So our goal right now is that it's going to be a final release on August 16th, right before the school season starts here in the US. And we're going to be, I'm in charge of marketing, and that's part of why I've created this podcast to kind of talk about the development of the game, and hopefully build some interest, but also to catch up with friends. So what do you think of the changes so far, Steve?
I really like that you changed the art style to custom-made sprites and backgrounds. Really makes the game stand out from other RPG Maker-esque games. Really elevates it to the next level. It's really great seeing this edutainment style games coming around in the world.
What style of games?
Edutainment.
Oh, edutainment, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's educational, but it's also entertainment in some way. I use some in my classroom for spelling activities. And this past quarter, they got rid of it pretty much. It just wasn't working well. A company bought out the previous company, and we could no longer use it.
Oh, really?
And the effects of my student spelling scores were dramatic. It was about students were scoring 10 to 20% lower in the last quarter compared to their previous scores on spelling, because they weren't able to sit there and practice playing spelling games and really focus on the words as long. In the classical, we had to go back to more classical methods of, copying words and less fun activities. The kids weren't engaged by it, and you could really see a result in their test scores. So by pairing something like this to a course in, high school economics, where this is part of their homework, really helps students. It's a fun way to do your homework, which is engaging. So hopefully more students are actually doing it and trying to have fun with it.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear about your class. And you're teaching what age group?
8-year-olds.
8-year-olds. Yeah. So the gamification of everything, gamification of learning is happening more and more, and for a reason, because people pay attention more. It's just, our brains are kind of wired this way. And, we did a lot of research into it too before we made this game. We want to create incentives, and that's kind of part of economics too, creating reasons for people to want to play and to keep playing. And yeah, like in your class with the spelling games, I can totally see that. And that's what I think this game will be perfect for, is a supplementary activity that given to students that they can do throughout a semester or a month, let's say, they can do at home outside of the classroom or given in class time. But that every student can play, and there are certain checkpoints where you can check in and compare and talk about what you're learning. So here's another tech stone, for example, incentives. This is what we're talking about. You get the little anything that motivates someone to do something, and it's important for people to learn these concepts, I think. I mean, economics is about like human behavior and learning about how society and people interact, the economy works, and thinking about the future and how we have limited resources, unlimited wants. How are we going to use these limited resources? How we live in a world of scarcity. How are we going to use these limited resources the best that can benefit people? So, that's kind of, incentives. I don't know if a 10th grader or a teenager, have they used this term before? I mean, I'm sure some have if their parents talk about it or if a teacher talks about it, but does it come up in natural conversations? I mean, for me, it does, but it's important to get these things, these concepts into high school students' minds. And this course, though, it's based on college level microeconomics class. It definitely can be learned at the high school level. But this is normally, in the US, you take maybe a couple hours on economics. Like maybe there's an econ class that your school offers. I think it's a social study, right? So there's it kind of goes along with like financial literacy, how everyone's like saying, we need to teach financial literacy at a younger age because people, are graduating from high school and they don't know how to balance a checkbook or, understand that they got to stay within their purchasing power. So we're hoping to garnish interest there, and we're definitely going to be advertising towards schools and stuff. All right, let's see if you can get this one, Steve.
Okay, let's go.
Mind Master has emerged. Answer. Which one of the following is the best explanation of incentives?
Things that motivate you to behave in a certain manner.
Yeah, excellent. So, rather easy one. We've gone back and forth on the difficulty. There's definitely some difficult concepts in this game. Try to start them off at easier, get them into it. There are parts where you go through a kind of almost a 5-10 minute lecture in the form of a story, so it gets more challenging, more interesting. I'm very excited to be showcasing this game. I'm going to be doing it for the next 2 months, I think, or longer. This is the RPG Maker engine. What's nice about the RPG Maker engine is that you don't need to know how to code in a coding language. It's run on JavaScript, but everything is in-house. You create events, you create characters, you have common events. You can set up your battle system. And what's funny is that, it's my dad and me, and then 2 illustrators. And my dad is the main coder. He's the one that knows this engine inside and out. And we kind of complement each other in a way that, like for me, I could not be a coder. I've taken like Python classes, gotten kind of far. I think I'm good at logic, but then it's the detail. It's actually like looking at these little things and checking and the errors. And it's just, it's not my brain. I'm more of a big picture guy trying to keep a lot of things in the air. And so I'm glad that I'm working on marketing, kind of game design and management versus the actual coding, which my dad is really good at.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm not very good at the little details. I'm more of a big picture thinker. I've tried to code before too, and I just find it hard to look at a screen for that long. I prefer human interaction, and that's kind of probably why I enjoy teaching so much. Your whole day is all about human interactions.
Yeah. I think we're lucky as teachers because there's like an innate satisfaction, or you're helping people, right? You're helping students to learn more and hopefully improve their future. You're interacting with people, and then you're interacting with adults, your colleagues. It's a satisfying profession. My wife's been teaching Korean more online, and she really loves it. It might turn into something that she just does full time eventually. Um,
Oh, that's nice. Very
uh,
difficult to learn Korean.
Olio. But it's funny. My wife, she, I would live in Korea for 4 years, and I'm like a beginner plus. I'm still pretty bad at holding conversations, but I understand a lot. And my wife's got. It's funny. Like 2 years ago, before she started teaching, she just get frustrated with me really quickly, and like, why don't you learn more? Like, oh, why are you so bad at this? But now that she's been working with people, she's very patient with me, and she like we do talk in Korean more, which is great. So you just moved to a new city, or
I had
you're
to go
moving?
down. I went down for a couple days to Shenzhen to do visa paperwork, but I'm back in Hangzhou now, packing my house up. I'll be moving at the end of the month, probably in about 10 days.
Wow,
Yeah.
busy. That's a big life change.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite an interesting difference.
See,
Moving from kind of Hangzhou, which is very Chinese city, not many foreigners, into the heart of the foreign town of Shenzhen. It's gonna be a very different type of place.
yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I've been to both those cities with you, and
Hmm.
Hangzhou. Hangzhou has more of a cultural feel to it. It's not as spread out as Shenzhen. I don't feel. I mean, they're both huge cities, but Shenzhen's more. It just sprouted up out of nowhere over the last 50 years or something, where Hangzhou has been there for centuries, millennia.
Yeah,
So
it's a very old city here, very beautiful, uh, just a little bit small and spread out. Uh, so I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a new adventure.
nice. What video games have you been playing lately?
I haven't been playing too many. Uh, I started playing the Metal Slug series of games, those old arcade games. I got them on Steam for really cheap, and I like some games where you can just pick up and play like 10 minutes, and then okay, I died, all my lives are gone. I can just quit. Uh, the other game I've been playing quite a bit lately is what is it? Uh, uh,
I've been playing Hearthstone, of course, but not as much as I used to. For Hearthstone, for me, it's like what you said. You can just pick up 15 minutes. It's fun. It's like you have to use your brain, and then you can put it down. But sometimes it's hard to just put down.
yeah, I find with those card games, I get a little addicted. That's
Yep.
my vice, magic cards.
Oh yeah.
But there's no
Yeah.
one to play with here, so
Yeah.
I think I
Hearth,
broke my addiction.
that's good. That's good. Yeah. For me, it just takes to be in a place with no internet connection. So um it's funny that Hearthstone just totally jacked Magic the Gathering and just made it into its own thing to great
I mean,
success.
I think that's most games. You're building upon a
Uh,
history.
yeah, other
Uh,
people's ideas, right? I mean, it's
yeah,
different game designs, game mechanics, and
like the other game I was playing, I just remembered was Hollow Knight, which is
oh yeah,
building upon the whole history of, you know, Super Metroid, Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
hmm
Uh, those Metroidvanias are all just building on each other, doing similar things, but you know that whole genre people love because it's something when you pick up the controller, okay, I know what I'm going to be doing most of the time. I know how to play. I'm not going to have to figure out all new systems and
Mhm.
spend, 20 hours learning the game. It's going to be 10 minutes and I'm already, able to do everything I want. And I think that's important in video games.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. My wife and I just started playing Zelda Skyward Sword.
Hmm.
And I thought it was like a new game that they made, but it was from the Wii U that they revamped for the Switch. And we just got into it, just got released. And so we're planning to play that all weekend. Is there anything you want to bring up, Steve?
No, not really.
Any
Just it's really
questions?
nice talking to you, seeing the development of your game. That's it's really come a long way since I beta tested it in January. Seems like it's really going in a positive direction. Uh,
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad that we could check in. I mean, it's really good to see you too.
yeah,
And that's kind of the reason I want to do this podcast too. Even maybe a bigger reason is that I just want to catch up with people. I've got so many interesting, cool friends around the world and people I haven't seen in forever. And I just want to take the time to catch up and see how's it going and check in on each other's projects and lives.
yeah. I mean, my life's going really well. I'm quite busy. I'm doing my master's online right now in literacy. So most of my days are studying, reading textbooks, reading academic papers, and lately I've been moving. I'm mostly sad that I can't come home this summer and see you in person. Uh, I'm hoping by this winter things will clear up and I'll be flying home
Yeah,
and hanging out for a month.
hopefully. Yeah, it'd be great to have you here. We're planning to stay until like February 2022 and then maybe go back to South Korea for a year and just kind of, that's our lives. We only plan out 6 months to a year ahead. And with the pandemic, everything's been so it's really hard to plan. So I'm really glad and happy to have had this game developing project and that my dad, wanted to do this and that that my dad and I work well together where we can do it. And I'm really excited about it because I mean, for me, it's like, I was when you play tested the game back in February, January, I was concerned and I was like, I don't know if this game's going to make it. But with all the progress we made and just honing down on what our game is, what our niche is, what our demographics are, like who we're trying to pitch this game to, it's given me a lot of hope and aspiration that we can actually, I put a goal of 1,000 downloads on Steam, like over a couple months. I mean, that's like the minimum. If we get less than 1,000, I'm going to be a little disappointed. We put the price range at $10. It's a 3-hour game. It's going to be, fully playable. We'll have all the bugs fixed out. So, and talking with talking with my team, like a lot of game development teams, it would take a lot longer to get something like this out. I think that, having done it in about 8 months is quite an achievement. And, that's the thing with my dad is that he's like already on to episode 2. Episode 2 is going to be bigger and better. Teaching different economic concepts and down the road, hopefully we'll have garnished interest and garnished a following where people will still want to see what comes out of our studio. So it's really exciting. And then Fifefer, that's my kind of name. I want to make sure that Fifefer Island just it does well. So if we can get episode 1 doing well, I feel good about episode 2. So it's gonna be like my full-time gig over the next through launch and then past that too. Because if we get people playing, there's gonna be a lot of community interaction. Like they get stuck at points or they're like, what this concept doesn't make sense. Like, why is it like this? It's like, okay, we got to manage the stuff. And then I don't know if you saw, I created all the social media accounts again with all Fifefer_Island. So back on TikTok, gonna try to make things fun and interesting. That's my motto: fun and interesting. All right, Steve. Well, thanks a lot for being here.
Yeah, no problem. Take care. It
Yeah,
looks like a fun game. I'll have to check it out when it launches.
yeah. I hope you do. Please wish list on Steam. All right, Steven. I hope your parents watch this, and I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
See you, Steve. Thanks for joining Fifefer Island.